right, we are here. We're live this week, folks. Dave is not here, but Al is. Al, welcome to the show again. Good to have you on again.
Yeah, good to be back. You guys, I'm sure there's three timers. I guess I'm a two timer. You guys have the official jackets I get to wear.
Like Saturday Night Live. Once we get to five, we're going to start printing up jackets. It's going to get quite expensive. We might have to get some sponsors for the jackets. Oh man, but yeah. So I'm glad you came on. I got the chance to see you again and fly with you from Las Vegas from the Photo Booth Expo. That was fun. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Al is one of the men behind Picture Mosaics, right? And Sketchbots and 360 drones. You got a lot of things going on, and there's some new things happening. So that's one of the reasons why we brought you on the show. Other than you got some expertise in the photo booth industry as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just one of the small parts of the bigger operation, but yeah, happy to be on.
Yeah. So what's really cool is, and I'm very thankful, is that you actually came up with some topics to hit on tonight. And I was like, man, you're really saving the day, because it's just a crunch for time to put stuff together, other than, talking about your products. But before we get into the Sketchbots, the Drone 360 and the Picture Mosaics and all that kind of good stuff, one of the things that you brought up in our conversation before we got on the air tonight was, has the photo booth market reached maximum saturation yet? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I mean, I think this has been, at least there's probably 2 posts a week on the different Facebook groups about so many people being in their market and then being priced out of it, or losing bids. So you wonder, where is that tipping point? Where are we on that graph of maximum saturation of photo booth and event operators? And are we still on the upkick? Are we at a plateau? Are we going on the downslope? I mean, everything has that bell curve for the most part. So I did hear a stat from PBX, and not that this is the tell-all metric, but the attendance was very similar between the two years, between last year and the one that just passed. So that could be a metric. The other thing, I guess, what will happen, and this is kind of the bigger question, as software becomes more optimized, you have your curators and your snap picks, and the barrier to entry keeps coming down, right? I'm sure you're aware, and Dave is aware. Back 10 years ago, or we've been doing that. You and I have a long history of. We've been doing this for 20 plus years, and when you need to do a green screen activation, you were kind of building up this flow from the ground up. And not every time once you had your flow, but you were kind of inventing things as need be, as events kind of unveiled and facilitated. So where we are now, it's like, well, all right, you dial up the app, you punch in some settings, and I don't say my grandmother can do it, but the learning curve has definitely been reduced, which is good, and it's bad. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that on that at all.
Yeah, I do. I've had those fears. Having been in the industry long enough, like I'm pretty much like 10 years now, it was, just a handful that were around my area that provided a photo booth, whether they were DJ companies or just straight up photo booth companies or photographers. And I have noticed since 2020, and having spoken with a lot of other photo booth owners, they've also noticed in their areas, and we're talking all over the US, whether it be California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, everywhere, the whole US, they're seeing the same thing. And you're right, there's a lower barrier to entry. It's easier to purchase a inexpensive piece of photo booth equipment and an iPad, and do like a drop off, or it's a lot easier to print now. So yeah, there definitely are a lot more companies out there, and the fear has been in my mind, but I have not seen a drop in events for myself. right? So even though there's more, I'm actually getting more inquiries than I ever have been. So I think that, yeah, there is saturation, but there's not a saturation of quality companies out there, right? Think about pizza, right? How many pizza shops are there? They're all over
Right.
the, but not every one of them is good. Uh,
Right.
and some of them, they've been in the, slinging pies for a while. They've built up a reputation in their community. They have a great product, and they're very creative with some of the different types of pizzas they make. Not that we're making pizzas, but you could use that as an analogy, right? I think those that innovate, embrace new technology, come up with creative ways to enhance their events, they're going to survive.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Creativity and ingenuity are going to definitely. I mean, they always play that. I mean, you look at throughout history. Whoever can continue to innovate and drive an industry is going to win out. I mean, so big companies they buy small companies because they have trouble innovating, and they know if they don't do that, they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So
Customer service is another big thing, I think, too. Having personality at these events, not, if you lined up 5 companies that have the same exact booth, whether it be a salsa booth or a Moe booth or Max Design, photo booth or ATA, whatever company it is, you line 5 of those companies together that have the same exact equipment. Well, what's the differentiator? I think customer service is a huge part, and the way that you're interacting with the guests at events, and using that equipment in creative ways other than just, here's a pen, right? Everybody's got a pen, but what are you doing with this pen? What kind of story are you writing?
Right. And you're selling trust. I mean, you have your repeat clients, and everybody has, your, trust, service, as you mentioned, are you have a product, but those 2 components are really your bread and butter for sure.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement that there's still more to go.
Yep.
And people will fall off. People are going to come and go, but those of us that put our head down, work hard at it, and really stay in front of people too. You got to advertise. Like, some of these people don't know how to advertise or market themselves. So I think that's another advantage that some people like myself have, and others that I know, that we know how to stay on top of social media, know how to do search engine optimization, run Google ads, and all that kind of stuff. So
yep.
you
got to spend money to make money. So it's a tough. I mean, when you're starting out, that's a tough nut to crack and understand. But yeah, no, we're talking the same language for sure.
Yeah. So you brought up another question, was what happens when a product or industry becomes so optimized where it's no longer special and is more of a commodity? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. And this was a newer topic to me. I was thinking about it. I listen to a number of podcasts and read, a couple of things in the Wall Street Journal, and the topic of, and it's tough to think about these products because they become such of a commodity. You don't even think about where they came from, years and years ago. I mean, you think of like a carpet steamer, cleaner, that was always somebody had to come out to your house and steam your carpet or whatnot. It wasn't until later when you could actually purchase these things or rent them. There's another example I thought of, and even like cameras, right? I mean, they're so much more accessible than they were 40 years ago. And it kind of goes on and on. There was another good example I thought of right before we came on here, but these things that are things that were new and then fully optimized through the years, and they become, as a general public, they become it's a benefit, but for the people that were providers, it is not a benefit, obviously. So the boothing and event industry is interesting. As things optimize, you still need somebody, right? So it's an interesting paradigm, because this is not a product you sell somebody. It's a service for the most part, and we are more or less the commodity that is being optimized down. and it's good. I mean, it's nice having all these apps that do all the heavy lifting, and now they're, AI was, when it first introduced, wow, there's going to be some heavy lifting here to get this all integrated. And fast forward like 8 months or less than that, and you're able to do it, right?
Yeah.
And people that have literally zero experience can
Yeah.
build up an AI booth. I mean, it's very cool, but we've gone from something that was super high tech, not many people understood it, to like, hey, I just have to, make some settings here, and the prompts are already made for me, and boom. So it's, just an interesting thought process. I've always thought through how quickly something goes from being really really top of the line to going through that cycle of, that race to the bottom, and it could last decades, or it could be, as you see here, it could be a few months.
Yeah, it is like AI, 12 months, and it's like, boom, the big thing kind of hit, popularity, or started hitting the news. Was it like December of 2022? And then the buzz was like, well, what's going to happen at the photo booth expo? Is anybody going to be doing anything? Not yet. That's when people are like, all right, we need to do something. And what normally, like you said, would take, a couple of years to gain steam, it seems like they all just churned it out, man. Like, it was amazing to see how AI had just flourished at the expo. And there's still a lot of kinks to work out with that, right? And I think
Yeah, no, there's still a lot of work to be done, but it is definitely. When this was introduced and people were trying to work it into their apps, I was impressed at PBX how far people were able to get it working pretty streamlined. And kudos to all the development teams out there. I mean, that wasn't easy work, because we've been working with AI for a while, and just understanding and how to get things to look good is not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a race, because the photo booth expo is like, that's the benchmark of the year, and you better have, it's like CES of the photo booth industry. It's like, you better have some good stuff.
Yep, for sure.
Speaking of which, you brought up something that, like, you wanted to talk a little bit about, generative AI, and like the time that it takes and the expectations on, like, guests. So what are the factors that, like, with generative AI, like with the latency that it takes to process these things? Can you explain about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, sure, you have some familiarity just walking around PBX, and I'm curious actually what you are experiencing. I didn't have much time to walk around, but just in the tools that we use both locally and just ones in the cloud that we sometimes ping. Depending on the prompt, depending on what you're asking you to do, that and the resolution, it can take anywhere from as little as maybe 5 or 6 seconds all the way up to like 30 or 40 seconds and longer if you're going for a really high res image, or something complicated. So, and then if you're doing that in the cloud, obviously you have a resource that seems unlimited, but not really. I mean, there's an NVIDIA graphics card in there, and depending how many machines you have and can farm that out, there might be even some delay in queuing it up. So, when you're walking around PBX, I mean, what was from when you took your picture to when you saw the results either printed out or on screen, how long was that on average for you?
At PBX, it was about 60 seconds or so.
Okay.
In most cases.
Seems about right. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, so curator James said, do you want to get into the beta for that? A lot of other people got into it as well. But as soon as I got that link from him, I put it on my phone, right? Because I wanted to test this everywhere I was at. I didn't want to have to wait for my iPad. And probably not, I don't know if that's the optimal device to do it with, but when I first did it on the beta, it was like 60 seconds for the photo to come through. And then about a week later, it got down to 35 seconds. And then another week later, it was down to like 20 seconds. And then like the other day I did it again, and just down to like 8 or 9 seconds. So it was kind of cool there's limitations on but I don't know what it is, but there's some optimization going on that the developers know how to tweak it and get that speed up. And maybe, do you know what they're doing behind the end? Because I'm not the tech guy, and you're more.
Yeah, what were you with in those instances? What was was it a face swap, or what was it?
Yeah,
what was
it was
doing?
just a face swap, and I used the same exact photo every time.
Okay.
Yeah. So it went from a minute in about 4 or 5 weeks, from a minute down to like 8 or 9 seconds.
Yeah. So I mean, there could be a couple of things. I mean, as I mentioned, resolution plays a huge part in generating those pixels.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I mean that's great. I mean, that's the games we play on our side is where can you save some seconds? Where can you if you're doing something repetitive, can you build that into your own subset of a model and really crank it out a lot faster. So yeah, that's cool that's reduced so much on the curator side. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody else is in the same boat. That's the only one that I had an opportunity to test over the last few weeks, and it's just really cool to see that evolution live in your hands, and knowing that there are developers in the back end just like, how do we make this better? How do we make it? And because you do the same thing with Sketchbots. Like, let's get onto that. This is a good transition into that. So, at PBX, you had some really cool enhancements. And for those who don't know, Sketchbots right here, this is their website. Right, you go to sketchbot.com. You can take a look at all the stuff here.
Yeah. This is our new promo video that we just shot. I was telling you a little bit about that second intro shot was the one that took us like 50 takes. But
this one,
yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, the iterative process in building out the AI for this, and we started this way before Stable Diffusion. Like we were, understanding how to even build an AI platform, build our own model, build our own training. So we've started really from scratch or square one and built out from there. And there was a lot of learning and missteps. And once we got our model and platform in a good spot where we could train it, and the training process is pretty intense. We have our group of artists that hand draw every sketch, and we have a growing library of over 6,000 sketches, all sorts of different poses, hairstyles, hats, you name it. And the more you can feed it, obviously, the better it's going to do with things that maybe it hasn't seen before or similar things. And it's always a matter of how much, how do you, pull up a sketch here and hopefully it comes out. But, here's, if you had to take a guess of who this celebrity is, who is that?
God, I have no idea. Thor?
There you go. You got it.
I got it.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
So there's proof of the pudding that you got, hey, you got his resemblance. Put you on the spot there. That could have failed miserably. So, you're dealt in this technology in the Sketchbot with a robot arm. You're limited with a single width line, roughly 1 millimeter. So you can't do tinier strokes. You can't do, shading, things like that. And so, how much detail is too much detail? I mean, how do you draw, with a single width line? How do you draw somebody's nose? How do you get, some of the details in their eyes? Now, we've made a decision for the most part. If we can detect you a female in your look, we're going to give you eyelashes. Now, do we get it right 100% of the time? No. All my kids, even they get drawn with eyelashes. They can't understand. Under age of 16 or so, sometimes a little difficulty deciphering that. But that there is some limitations there. So where I was going with this is we'll do all 6,000 sketches, feed into machine learning. So that 3 or 4 month process plus about the month to 2 month process of actually running through the training. After those 7-8 months, you get out your output, and similar to ChatGPT. I mean, this is what happens. You train this big model, this large language model, and you start testing it, and you realize, oh wow, we really got it right. Oh my God, we trained it, and it's off the wall. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows the Google story of asking it to give him a picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware, and really messing that all up with being very diverse in its thought process. I think I guess they gave it was a African American crossing the Delaware, right? Which was interesting when you're trying to get a picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware. But yeah, so then you have to throw that model away and either pick the things that work well or again start that whole process up again. And so V5 that we just released is really the upper echelon of all that work over the last year plus of going through those cycles. And we did like we were doing it in parallel. So as we kick one off, we would start a new one knowing, hey, this one may not work out. But finally we got it working well. And in that video, if you want to put that up again, that there's an interesting on this side here. I don't know if you can't pause it here, but you'll notice the big thing here is she has her head tilted just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big things. If you notice in a character sketch, whenever you get one of those done by, somebody, now there's AI doing it, but they're never straight on, right? 99% of the time that they're off the angle. So and this is all for, all you sketchbotters out there. We try to push this idea that, you can do straight on shots, that mug shot, but if you just tilt your head maybe 3 or 4 degrees, just a little bit, you get a lot more depth. And you're not going to get the character sketch. That's in our roadmap. But having that little bit of tilt gives it a lot more depth.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense because you're right. I didn't even think about that. That when you are getting a hand drawn and right in front of you, like there's the artist, it usually is on a kind of tilt. What I struggle with isn't my, discipline is more so even when I'm telling the person to tilt, they tilt their whole head like this. I'm like, no, you gotta kind of keep looking. So and they're so fixated on looking at themselves, they can't help but to look straight.
It's tough.
Sometimes they want to take their heads like, no, like this.
Yeah, we have some ideas, and I don't want to. We're trying to make the whole process easier, and so we're getting there. But it still works great again. Even if you tell people, even at PBX, right, tilt your head, and they would still do it for straight on. So it's
and there is an expectation with this that it's not a Pablo Picasso. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be pretty darn close, with general facial features. And now you're aiming for perfection. You probably want to just reach through the thing and slap. It's like, no, Art, we want perfection. And so do we. But you have to have some understanding, at least from my side and everybody else out there watching, that even the characters that are done by hand aren't even, as close as to what they resemble. So it's supposed to be fun experience.
I guess. I'm just going to throw another one up here. This is ones we were just sketching the other day, just for some of our photo shoots. And we noticed we have an ad set that we on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and when we put these out, the amount of comments that come in with like, you're taking artist jobs away, and just like on and on, or I can draw, I can draw better. And it's amazing that people when they see something that a human could do, or they may know somebody that could do something, it's quickly a very critical. And I don't know if the word is emotional, but they definitely get very defensive, maybe is the word, about what they're seeing. And I know there was, I think Shane Staton, he posted one of his character sketches on one of the groups, and
it looked good.
And it looked great. I thought he turned out well. But if you look at, I agree. It was a home run on his. But as you look down in the feed, people were really getting angry with their character sketches because they didn't think it looked enough like them, and that's what we've dealt with the last almost 3 years now with people.
I think we
being a little. Again, the word's not critical, but you see something that. You want there's this robot doing something, this AI doing something, and it's something that you're innately want a human. You're a little more forgiving when a human does it, and when a robot's doing, you're like, hey, it's got to be perfect. I mean, I guess when it's very. I don't know if you've been to a bar with a robot bartender.
Yeah,
they don't make your drink right. You're so aggravated, but if a bartender makes you like, oh, well, you must have been busy, or, it's just the mindset of how we hold a robotic or AI system to such a high standard. I mean, even Tesla faces, but if it's not exactly in the center of the lane or it's, it hesitates, you're like, oh my God, it almost killed me.
Yeah, right. That is we expect a lot, don't we? As humans, we do. But you know what? I think that's what makes us special, to be able to create this type of technology is to be forgiving, right? And have some humor to it. 'Cause that's what makes it fun, you know. From the DJ perspective, maybe I shouldn't say this to the bride because she wants to be perfect. But I tell and I'm almost done DJing weddings, but we got a few more left. I always tell them, it's like, your day's not supposed to be perfect. And like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, then you'll have nothing to laugh about the next day. There's nothing to talk about. It'll be just too perfect and you're going to forget everything. She's like, you're right. Most of the time, they're like, you're right. Sometimes I get the, I'm going to kill you look, but, but it's, I don't know. Imperfection can be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know, as we innovated a couple of things, the platform was another thing that in addition to the AI V5, which was a huge breakthrough for us, getting that pushed out, and again, different angles and all that good stuff. And aged men was, we spent so much time getting, people like us and older or didn't have much hair. And you would think, the less hair you have and that there's just general features versus something with flowing hair and, more of a vibrant vibrancy to them. That was a tough thing for us to train, but we got pretty good. You don't want to give them too many wrinkles, but you want to give them enough wrinkles that they know, hey, that is me.
Yeah.
So that was, interesting task to make just enough wrinkles, not too many. But yeah, the other things that we worked on, and I know PBX we debuted this, was the spring-loaded platform, and this is pretty cool. This took us a while to develop to get that. A couple things here. That slide out, making sure 2 don't come out or 3 don't come out, and the 1 slides out nicely and works for majority of paper densities or what's the weights.
Thickness,
And so having that nicely fly out and be easy accessible, then you don't. The beauty here is the step of putting another piece of paper on the platform is gone. So you've cut your time in half as far as an attendee. All you're doing is either having the guest slide out their 4x6, or again, you just kind of nicely pushing it out for them.
It's not gone for me yet. I still haven't picked those up from you yet.
I know. We gotta get you a set, Art.
Yeah, I gotta come. But at least before I go to the next show, because I am going to bring the Sketchbots to a conference that I'm going to be exhibiting at. So even the nanotechnology, the nanotape was still cool, right? But it does wear down after a while, and I've got to clean it. And I don't mind cleaning it, but man, to not have to swap out the paper, because I'd say at least 2 or 3 times an event, I didn't catch it in time because I was in conversation, engaging with the client. And then there goes that Sketchbot writing on the nanotape. I'm like,
no, yeah. What we did with the nanotape, we made I slid to Justin. I thought I brought it over here. We made the newer session. We just made this. A small difference in the one you have is there's a small ridge around the top of the nanotape. So in case your nanotape does get less sticky over time, the little ridge around the top holds it in place. So it's cool. Still, but we have customers using both. Both types. Yeah.
So something else that I noticed you posted, is it true that you now the guests can download, like they can be texted the photo, like the output?
Yeah. So the portal is our huge new, in addition to the platforms, the new AI model, the platform, the portal is definitely a cool new thing that allows a lot of functionality. And I was going to bring up my
bring that up. I would love to see that. I have not had the opportunity to see any of that yet.
Yeah. So let me.
I think that's really cool. That's one of the first things. Again, expectations, right? I got I hooked up the software. I'm like, all right, can I download it? I'm like, no, I can't. Damn it. And I'm sure a million other people asked the same thing. It's like, well, it'd be really nice if we could have these texted to our clients, which is what everybody wants. Everybody wants instant gratification as well as the print.
Yep, for sure.
Let's add that. Here we go.
So let me, this is our fun thing here. So let me actually pull down. So I'll jump ahead to one of the cool things that the portal does. Here we go. So this is actually... This is me. So this is what was one of our things at PBX. So what it actually does, when it actually creates an animated version of your sketch when you share it, which is pretty cool.
Now, is that in order of the way the pen is drawing?
It's close. It may not match. If you recorded your sketch it's not it might not be 100%, but it's you can tell we do the whole outline, so it's pretty close to what happens with the Sketchbot. But it's just fun seeing it kind of appear as if you were there seeing it sketched.
Yeah. Well, this is huge because not only do the guests get it, but when you're doing brand activations, there's more opportunity for the brand to get awareness because people are going to share these on their social media.
Yep, no, 100%. So there's a number. I mean, I've logged into the portal here, and there's a number of things as far as I just set this one up for the Google Next 24 that was there, and there were a number of. I mean, I'm going to probably botch this, but there's a lot of customization as far as what data, and maybe you don't even want to send share. Maybe this is a lead gen tool for you. So you just want to take in maybe name and a phone number, an email or something. Obviously, you're taking name or a number, a phone number, or an email, and you might as well enable the sharing. So a lot of customization. You can drag and drop things and reorder them. And we spent a lot of time making sure that data capture was very robust and customizable and flexible.
So this is setting up the iPad screen through the back end. Is that what we're doing here?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So you set this all up. It's like, and every time you load the iPad in, so you can set up your email and what you want the email to say, the header, footers, very customizable stuff. Language, you can set the email up or set the text up for what you want the text, what numbers you're supporting, all that good stuff. Pretty straightforward. I mean, if you used, any of the other systems out there, we didn't break the mold here, but we thought we made some good choices the way we laid this out. And as far as the branding on the digital deliverable, do you want that included on the square sketch, or do you want to actually have it below, similar to what it looks like on the actual Sketchbot when it draws it? And then we're building in some language configuration because we obviously know we have a lot of international customers that don't have English, so you can customize all the language on the iPad, along with all the other cool stuff coming soon. So that's just a quick 60-second view of the Sketchbot portal there.
That is really cool. I'm glad I got to see that. Again, it's another tool, right? So that just takes us and gives us so much more capability and so much more to bring to the table for our clients, especially the corporate events and stuff like that. Oh, that's great. I'm definitely going to be using that in June.
Cool. It's a good feature. Make sure you log into the portal there and check it out.
So those are the big things. I think you did color too, right? You got a color thing going on?
Yeah, so that's what we've been working hard just to get to what we call somewhere between prototype and beta stage. I have here our half the arm. Now this hooks into, I'm going to try to tilt my camera, but you can at least grab the basic platform here. So the platform sits here in the middle, and the Sketchbot will grab the markers. And I can actually show the video. It's probably a little better, but getting this, it's a kind of crazy contraption. So we're going to be optimizing this a little more. We're already almost completing the process, but this is the one we had at PBX. This is only half. So if you got the other two, it will look like I'm Predator or something here in a second.
It's like almost
like a little Coliseum. So you have a full set of 16 markers that it can choose from, and depending on, we'll have a default set of, hey, here are the colors. You buy this 100 set of Crayola markers, and here are the 16 colors we recommend. We tested for most skin colors people typically wear. Now, if you want to change them out and be kind of crazy, and people get like, orange hair, you're welcome to do that for sure. And the way one of the big things is as a Sketchbot, it doesn't have a hand to grab things. It's really you get the pen in there and you're kind of stuck with that pen. So trying to minimize extra stuff we have to, I guess, build out in terms of the arm itself. That was a big component. So let me go ahead. I'll share that video for people who haven't seen that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go there. Let's see.
And I think I had it up on YouTube here. I think it was this one here. Yeah. So this is actually, we have some footage from PBX that we were taking. So
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the picks up the markers, puts them down, and then it's not going to color in the whole photo. It's just going to give it some accent color to really bring it to life. If we color the whole photo, it would take quite a bit longer. So we're still trying to get a minute and a half, minute 45 with color. We're still trying to bring that down. It's all about how fast you go, but not making it floppy. and how fast we can make those movements and still be accurate enough to grab and drop the markers. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I got to see that at PBX, and it was nice. And some people, they want to color it themselves too. So can you have that option? So you've got the color thing set up there, and let's say a guest doesn't want the machine to color it. They just want to.
No, 100%. And I think we have on our website a couple of images from our gallery here. I'll bring up. I thought we had one. Yeah. So yeah, people love coloring in their sketches. And whether you're a kid or adult, we have had events that we do to help promote the Sketchbot. We'll have 2 or 3 sets of color markers, and yeah, people will go there, and once somebody sees somebody else doing it, it becomes like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's why people, they see a line, they get in line. But yeah, they see somebody else, oh, that's a great idea, and they color their sketch in, and then they have a bit more they personalize it a bit more than it was already personalized.
Yeah, and that's what I haven't done. I haven't added markers to the experience yet for people to color them in. I think I'm going to have to start doing that. So the next event I do, I'm going to bring some markers.
Cool.
Have fun. You also have the 360 drone booth. There were some enhancements from that as well. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like what, over the year, what has changed on that?
Yeah, it's a hot. It's been a roller coaster for sure. When we first introduced the technology, we were trying to find a drone platform that was robust, reliable, people had access to, and we chose DJI as the drone provider, and we started using the Mini 2 as the drone of choice. It was under 8 ounces. It was lightweight. It had nice propeller guards. It seemed to be the choice for what we were trying to accomplish in a very safe, flexible. I want to say replacement for a 360 spinner booth, but it was definitely a cool alternative. And fast forwarding a few months, we found that I think we bought 7 or 8 Mini 2s just to really make sure we had enough to really categorize how a Mini 2 typically operates. Well, we found out through people using them that the difference between one Mini 2, DJI Mini 2, and another Mini 2 was so different from one end of the spectrum to the other, meaning the way it, when you told it to turn, just 1 degree, well, 1 degree on one drone was maybe 1.5 degrees on another drone. And it was almost a nightmare. And so about half the Mini 2s worked well. I mean, they were within spec of what most of our drones were. But the other 50% were so far outside of the spec. Now, when you're flying a 2 and you're off, a 0.5 degree or 2 degrees, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, you're just flying and you can correct it. But in this case, we have to be dead on to complete that circle reliably every time. So, it's a shame that DJI didn't qualify their 2s in a way that made this work really well across the board. And so whether it was, we probably could have bought 30 or 40 drones and really did a little bit more. But it is what it is. I can't change the past. And so now what's exciting though, after all that kind of doom and gloom, and it wasn't all doom and gloom. Again, 50%, half of our users were just fine. And the other half either return their drones or, say, we'll wait till the Mini 3 becomes available. And that's exactly what happened. So the Mini 3 was released, I would say 6-7 months ago. And it's been rainbows and sunny skies since then. So it's good. And I have one here. So here's I have the Mini 2. This is what the Mini 2 looks like.
What do they run for about? How much is a drone?
The drone controller setup run you about $600 to $700.
Okay.
Yeah. And then here's the Mini 3 Pro. Now you'll notice the biggest difference here, and this is the first mini line drone that actually had cameras instead of just distance sensors in the front, and cameras also on the bottom as well. So you have 4 times the amount of cameras looking at the environment, and it performs so well in low light, which is important. Sometimes you're in a room which you just don't have a lot of light, and then the reliability. I mean, you tell it to turn a half degree, it's going to turn a half degree, and that's across every Mini 3 Pro we've tested. We actually bought 12 of them. I mean, eventually we had we bought enough of them. 12 operated identically, and then all of our customers, they're experiencing the same thing. So we finally got the hardware piece solved by DJI. And our software had been progressing, and so we finally got the solution that everybody seems pretty happy with.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The newest thing we released at PBX, in addition to the obviously the 360 motions and different radiuses, was the Glam Flight, and this is a way to mimic one of those big glam bots or robotic glam arms. There's a couple there at PBX, and they were pretty cool. I tried a couple. The only downside to some of them, and even the big ones, there's only so much reach unless you want to spend $100,000 or $200,000 on a huge robot arm that weighs God knows how much. There's no limitation really on how much this can move, right? So you have a more or less $200,000 robot arm for $700 that can do all these complex movements and get that long reach. If you don't have a long reach, that glam movement isn't as cool, right? I mean, it's so you're the whole idea is this fast moving thing slowed down at a really low frame rate gets that really cool effect. So if you're not moving that distance enough, you're the kind of the cool factor goes down quite a bit. So it's pretty neat. The drone can go. You can set to maybe like a 6-foot movement or a 12-foot movement, or even I think there's even an extreme one. You can go really far and really have it dive in and back out. So there's a lot of versatility that you can achieve with not being tethered to an arm. Yeah.
So I had a question about that. So you lost your train of thought earlier. Now it's my turn to lose my train of thought. What about? And I know we touched just on the last time you're on it. Any changes in terms of like licenses, like flight license or anything like that someone's going to have to get, or is it regional? Like, talk to me a little bit about that for those who may have that question.
Yeah, we get it a lot. I mean, it's like, well, how is this? The FAA going to come after me, or where how does this all work? And when we first introduced this 3 years ago, and we just had a demo of it flying around a stuffed animal, like we did not anticipate the amount of people going. People really were angry. But when you're indoors, the FAA, thankfully, the government can't control what we do in indoor space. I mean, the FAA controls, the space outside. And it makes sense. That's where the airplanes are flying. They don't care about what's happening inside. So what they call Part 107 in the US, in South Africa, it's called a Part 101. Each of them have this Part 107 in the US is basically the rules and guidelines you need to follow if you are flying your drone outside under FFA regulations. But when you're indoors, again, you're outside the jurisdiction of the FAA. With that said, now you're like, well, what about venues? Have you had, what about venues being scared of the technology? And that's a good question. People are very skeptical, and you're like, there's no way my venue is going to allow me to do this. And so far, knock on wood, all the venues we've been in, I think 75% of the venues in Vegas, when we come out to do this so far, we've, and lots of them in Philadelphia. And if there is a hesitation by the venue, we have a blooper reel that we show. We're like, all right, we do have this backup spinner, and this is the problems that somebody might get hit by the arm. And there's all sorts of people falling in and out off the platform. So that typically tilts the scale back in the favor of a 360 drone booth. So to date, though, we haven't had any issues. No, so far, all our customers haven't reported any issues of not being able to fly anywhere. We had somebody in South Africa. I mentioned South Africa. We're going to do a little more research for one of our customers, and there was a venue that gave him a little bit of questions about it. And so after he answered those questions, and he was able to proceed with his event just fine. So yeah, no, is it to say that you're not going to have zero, or you're not going to have 0% of or 100% of venues this be workable? Probably not. There's going to be a venue here or there that says, you know what, I'm not gonna do this. But it's so far we haven't seen it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Just going back, the glam. Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. Let's see. How can we?
We're just asking about that.
Yeah. Let me bring up our showcase here.
And then we do have some comments from Eric Churchill about the Mini 2 and licenses back in 2023, and also wanting to make sure that the new stuff is all good. So if we don't get to that, I guess you'll respond to Eric on that.
Yeah, I mean, any comments about licensing, or you can. I mean, we're pretty. We reply within hours or less. So definitely, reach out. Our goals. I've been on Kickstarters where I got. I mean, not that saying this is a Kickstarter, but when you're building a new technology and you're new on board to something, expecting things 100% is sometimes a very high expectation. And that's not to say our goal is always to make things right. That's the way I was raised. I never want to shortchange anybody. So if you were early on board and your Mini 2 happened to be one of the Mini 2s that were affected, that wasn't flying well. I mean, for the most part, we know exactly who we're in constant communication. We know who the couple users were, or there's probably maybe a half dozen or dozen of them out there. We've been in communication with them. I think Eric we've already spoke with him, but I know we're supposed to speak a little more, I guess, at PBX, but he wasn't able to make it. So I think we're all good there. But yeah, definitely follow up, Eric.
But anyway, that sample of the glam. I think I was in there for that, but
yeah, let me share my.
I don't remember if I got the video or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, so we were using. It's a good point. So our Drobo software is going to more or less replace the hardware components of a spinner or your glam robot.
Yep.
We're relying on other well-known platforms for the FX processing and the sharing. And so the two we recommend, DSLR booth is an easy one. Everything happens on the Surface tablet, the FX and the processing. So that's where we use that at PBX. And the Curator. So those are probably the top two that we recommend. Yeah.
So many options. There's just.
We have a whole guide of all the ones out there that work well.
Wow, it's insane.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. How do I get this to share? All right, here we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Let me share my screen and we'll roll a few of these glam flight mode.
I don't know what I did to my camera. I'm blurry. My life's like that.
I have all this light in here. And I swear to God, it looks like I'm very in dark room, but I'm being blinded. I guess my camera is trying to overcompensate.
It's all the pen. Anyway. The pen is mightier than the sword. I just fixed my camera using it. All right, hold on. Here we go.
Yeah. So this is just a couple. I think I have you in here actually. And so here's from inside the drone. This is what we have hundreds of these at PBX, and we have a link on our community, our 360 drone community page. But again, we zoom.
Oh yeah. You know what? I think I lost my video. I'm gonna have to have you send mine over. Yeah.
So
yeah, this is good.
From the outside, people haven't seen it. Let me pause. I probably should turn the volume down so I'm not talking over the music. So yeah, this is
there I am.
Again, you'll see. I'll pause it here. You have the platform, and the H is the signifying of where it's taking off and landing.
Yeah.
And it's gonna. I think we have it on a medium setting right now, where it traverses about 10 feet. So it's going to take off. And then this is exactly what we saw, but this is on the other, the outside view, and then it does its thing, and then it's going to automatically return. And you're actually in the back where there are doing the.
I don't know what to do. That's great. It's so precise. That is just crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're excited how well it's been working with his latest, the Mini 3 Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's even more scary? The fact that they're using these things for warfare, and we're just like, screw warfare. Let's have some fun and make some fun pictures.
That's right.
We're the good guys, or you're the good guy making all this happen. Uh, you guys have anything coming up? You can't. You're probably not disclosing anything. That's fine. I'll still ask any cool things that we should be on the lookout for in the next 12 months. Is that top
Yeah,
secret
I mean,
agent stuff?
we're working on a lot of stuff. We're still concentrating, a bit on the portal, making sure that's really robust. People want to make their own animations. There's some fun animations that happen on the take photo screen on the iPad. But there's some. These aren't trivial, but they're not. They're not trivial, nor are they really difficult. They're just things that we have to push through the cycle. But yeah, no, we have some really fun things that you have to stay tuned to find out.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Al. This has been great, and thank you so much once again for coming on the show. I will have to talk to you after maybe the next day or so about those platforms, the dispensers. And yeah, before I forgot. So for those who do have Sketchbots, right, or considering getting Sketchbots, before we leave, I have a question because if I want to take them on the plane, and I'm going to Chicago. I'm actually going to the Marquee Show in June, and I'm going to be exhibiting there. And actually, next week we're going to have Keith from the Marquee Show on this show. But how do I transport my sketch? What's a recommended way to transport my Sketchbots?
Yeah, so you should. I know when you got your bots. I mean, I have this. Actually, I'm using this as a prop for my laptop, but I'll pull this out. This is the case that they come in. So I agree. If you're transporting more than one, what we found is either you put them both in a box or a case and you ship them ahead of time, or we've actually. What was that?
I shouldn't put it in the luggage.
You could put it in the luggage, but I mean, if without that hard case, I would be a little worried.
Oh no, I would put it in the. I would actually have an extra hard shell luggage.
Okay.
And then put the hard shell cases in the hard shell.
Yeah, no, that's an idea. We're in the process of creating some custom Pelican cases with some inserts, and once we get that process done, we'll probably share with the community to see if that might be an option for a lot of users that do travel with them. But
bad idea. I do have some SKB cases. I could probably grab one of those and foam that up. Then couldn't I?
Yeah, we've actually cut that box I showed. We've actually cut out majority of it, except where the two pieces come together, and that really reduces the footprint. I mean, it's just the kind of jerry rig thing you do. You have to cut up your cases, which I don't know if I recommend that, but
no, I'm going to keep the cases together and put the case within a case. So yeah, I'm going to have these at the Marquee Show. So
and before we go, kudos to you. I know I think it was this week. Plug to you if anybody is looking for Google AdWords help or analysis. Art is awesome. It was. We've been doing Google Ads for the last 20 plus years since they first came out with Google Ads, and we learned a lot, even with the amount of knowledge we already had. So definitely, if you're in need of that, Art is your guy.
Thank you. I wasn't trying to plug it, but that's cool. Thank you. Oh no, it was good. But yeah, so good. So you can either use it the cases of carry-on the flight. You recommend or shipping, but it is okay if you pack it properly in the luggage. But now you're at the mercy. I'm going to be at the mercy of the luggage handlers to either put it on the flight or not steal it, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, you can imagine if we ship these all over, and the people like UPS and FedEx. I mean, they're probably throwing them just as much as you're getting your luggage thrown around. So as long as we haven't had any issues with the case that we had. At times had to recalibrate them. So just make sure you're aware of that process. It's documented in our video and in our tutorial guide. But I would just refresh whenever you're traveling your bots, knowing how to recalibrate is a good idea.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Al. Well, that was a great show. Don't forget, folks watching, if you want to check out the Sketchbox, go to sketchbot.com. If you want to check out the 360 drone, it's 360dronebooth.com. And of course, the main thing that you got started with, Picture Mosaics, the staple.
The staple, yes, our live mosaic, print mosaics. So yeah, we even talk about those, but we have a number of customers worldwide that use our mosaic wall software and platform. So, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah, we'll save it for the next time we come on. So, all right, Al, thank you so much. And guys, we'll see you guys next week on the Photo Booth Magazine.